Yeah, it's certainly an unfortunate situation, John, and we respect the decision made by the league. And
I got a lot of love for him. I still do. The things that he did for me in my career and the things that he did in the Buffalo Bill uniform won't be forgotten anytime soon, especially from me.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel presented by Connors and Ferris, Mike Catalano, along with Dan Fates. We are in Orchard Park. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. All right, so this isn't going to be a long video.
Emergency blog.
Dan kind of likes to talk.
Yeah.
Well, so do I. But we'll keep it rather short because there's a couple of subjects we're going to talk about in this one. And it's two things that we've talked about a lot for different reasons.
Yeah.
One is Von Miller, the official suspension that happened on Tuesday. The other is Stefon Diggs because it's the game this week. Let's start with the Von stuff.
Yeah.
Came up here looking for information because it hasn't been confirmed exactly why he's suspended.
Correct.
We don't know a lot of the other details other than he's going to be out for 4
Right.
games.
Usually when the NFL announces a suspension, they explain why and the reason for it. That was not given in the press release. The team hasn't released it either. They are also saying, they're not going to talk about it in that respects.
Yeah.
They did say, Sean McDermott, they were made aware of this suspension a few days ago. Whether there was an appeal, any of those things, there's a lot can be assumed.
Yes.
Sean said you can assume what you want.
Okay, so we took that a little bit as like, hey, that's what it seems to be, though it's not official. But, Sean was asked about this and the team and where they are. Here's what he had to say.
yeah, it's certainly an unfortunate situation, John, and we respect the decision made by the league, and really it's out of our control. And what we need to focus on is it's an opportunity for someone on our football team to step up.
He really didn't give any more details, even about practicing and can he be at practice.
Correct.
Catherine Fitzgerald from the Buffalo News asked the question. He said he couldn't answer. Well, he wasn't on the practice field, and I'm pointing to it, so everybody knows I'm pointing. The practice field's over there. This is inside, but that's where he wasn't today.
Inside the building.
That's
We're
right.
pointing.
We're inside the building. I'm pointing outside. He wasn't there. I don't know if he's allowed to be here. I
Yeah.
don't know what he would be doing here anyhow.
Yeah.
Because he's not going to play for 4 weeks.
And there's also Rasul Douglas added some levity to the situation. He was asked a question right off the bat about how it affects the secondary without having Von Miller and his pressures. And Rasul kind of said, what's wrong with Von? And then he said that he's been suspended, and he said, oh. And he said, well, he'll be back soon. He said 4 games. And he said, damn. He goes, I thought he was just having a veteran rest day. And then later joked, because we said we felt bad that we broke the news to him. I don't know if we really broke the news or if he was just kind of trolling us.
Yeah, maybe
But
a
he
little.
did joke around saying that Von's in his 29th year and that sometimes it takes him a long time to get warmed up. He goes, usually he's not ready until Saturday. He goes, so you don't see the guy. It's not that unusual.
Rasul, he's also the guy that said he didn't know he was in his contract year.
Didn't also know the playbook last year.
Yeah. He's a very bright guy.
Awesome
He
guy.
knows all this stuff. So it was kind of funny.
But it does put an extra stress for a football sense. If we can take apart the legal side and the suspension, and it's not our place to even talk about, well, I'm sure the comments will say, well, Rashid Rice. Okay, the league will handle that when the league handles that. That's not the Bills' problem. The Bills' problem right now is that they're missing their best pass rusher, and they're missing another key guy on their defensive line that just got torched last week against the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, and first of all, the Rice thing, it will come later.
Yep.
And also, he's hurt. So, and I know everybody wants to see that happen because it's the Chiefs. You want that to happen if you're a Bills fan probably next season.
Yep.
Strictly football-wise, because I think he may be out for the rest of the year, and then he might get suspended next year. This is the way the NFL does it. It is kind of weird for them to say they just found out a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
To your point, you said it at the beginning. Maybe he appealed, and then they just got the results.
Yep.
Whatever the reason is, it's done now. It's 4 games. He's out. He's been better than he was. He's been
And there's a lot
good,
of
but not great.
And there's a lot of legality. I know people have talked about his contract and how this suspension plays into that. You can assume what you want. I don't know that side of it. I don't think we're not in that part of the building.
Yeah.
But again, that will all be handled out. It seems like the suspension then can put this behind him, and then whatever happens in the future, contract-wise, that will all be played out later on.
I'll close it out with this. Brandon Beane took the swing. Von Miller was a closer. He had won Super Bowls. He was that guy. You take the swing. He looked good for a while. Then he got hurt, which is a risk you take when you get an older player. But then he did something off the field, which is what this organization prides themselves on, and he's hurt the team in 2 different seasons. Last year, even though he wasn't the same player, it was definitely a distraction at that point. Though oddly enough, they went on a long winning streak, but it was not great for the organization that he kept playing. And then this year, when it finally comes through, it's 4 games. I don't know how much longer he's going to be a Buffalo Bill, but this is not what they were thinking when they got Von Miller.
Absolutely.
But that's what he ended up being. All right, now we move on to the next thing, which is Stefon Diggs. It has been 6 months, but the game is here. So we talked about it. It was weird, though, because we have talked to Josh about it a lot.
Seemingly every single week.
Yeah. And it comes up. And last week it came up a lot because he made the point about everybody eats and guys aren't focused on stats. And then he had to make the comment about it's not about
But he's the one
Diggs.
that felt like he wanted to clarify it.
Right.
Because he's not, he said, I'm a loving leader. That's who I am personality-wise. I'm trying to lift people up in the building.
Is.
And I truly believe that. So you don't need to push somebody down to lift another player up.
Yeah.
And so that's why I don't think that's why this was a direct shot at Stefon Diggs. Sean McDermott was asked too about Diggs' comment that Diggs has made about the fact that
he's loved down there.
He says that now you're loved and where they want to see you win and want to see you succeed. And well, here's Sean's answer to that question.
Yeah, we respect Steph. We love Steph. And like I said, he was a very good player for us, John, and highly competitive player. And what I see on tape, he's doing the same thing. So our focus really needs to be there, and we move forward. That's really where we're at on it. It's going to be a highly competitive game between 2 teams, and that's what we're looking forward to.
And then there's Josh's side. And Mike, I thought you asked a perfect question because Josh swatted away a couple of short answers to questions early on in his press conference where he said he hasn't spoken to Diggs, hasn't had any communication, texts or calls. And he said, no, and he goes, that's not unusual with former teammates. That's just what it is.
Yeah.
And then there was 5 or 6 more questions about Diggs, and he gave generic answers. And then you asked him.
I just asked him, you kind of get it, right? Why this is a big deal? 2 high-profile players, and it's quarterback and wide receiver, which is always a big deal. And now it's split up, and he's playing, and now you're playing against him. Here's what Josh had to say about that.
Yeah, but at the same time, I'm sitting here. It's like it's not the most unusual thing. I think this thing happens from time to time, and I got a lot of love for him. I still do. The things that he did for me in my career, and the things that he did in the Buffalo Bill uniform, won't be forgotten anytime soon, especially from me. So that's how I look at it. At the same time, going into year 7, I understand the business and the aspect of what this league is, and again, I'm just trying to focus on what we got going in this building.
I agree. It is not that unusual that a wide receiver quarterback duo move on. But it is a little unusual when they're on the cover of SI Kids hugging and doing all of those things and then things go south.
Yeah.
I have been on the page of players have expiration dates. Jeremy Fowler wrote another piece that didn't really tell us anything new about the fact that Diggs was a diva and that he can wear on teams. That's what we all assumed, and that's what we knew. Players have expiration dates. Stefon Diggs moved on. I think his time in Buffalo was up, but I don't think there's any lingering. I don't think he was that detrimental. And that's why, to the team, because that's why I loved when he said for you, to your question, where he said, it won't be forgotten what he did in a Buffalo Bill uniform. And he goes, especially by me. So, I don't think there's this ill will, bad blood to it.
No. And it will be done after the game, unless they meet in the playoffs. Right? Because it kind of will be, or however it finishes off. Diggs was a very popular player for a long time, and I think it was the right move for the organization to move on. But at the same time, they're still a little short at the wide receiver position. So Diggs is going to be out there. He always plays hard, but he's going to be out there wanting to show that on Sunday.
We asked Rasul Douglas what it will be like to go up against him because he practiced with him the entire second half of last year. I loved his perspective of being like, he's a competitor. That's what you know about Diggs.
Yeah.
And then he added, he'll probably be a little bit more juiced up than a regular game.
I'm surprised Rasul didn't say, wait a minute, we played Diggs this week.
That would be it too. But
That's the way he is. That's the way he is. We want to put it past, too, because honestly, Josh has been cordial with all these answers.
He's been very good
Very
about all of it.
professional. He always wants to say the right thing, and I think he has. I think it is kind of the way he feels. But after Sunday, I do think then it's like it's the post game, and then
As long as the offense,
plays well.
like the first 3 games.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, there's a few other things going on. You know, with the injuries, and you guys have probably seen all this, but Deion Dawkins, hamstring. This is, as we're saying this on Wednesday, we'll see how it progresses, but
Shakir with an ankle.
yeah.
But on the plus side, Taron Johnson practiced in a red non-contact jersey, and Terrell Bernard was limited, but he was not in a red non-contact jersey.
So Bernard's looking good. Taron, we'll see. They should hope for Deion because that's big for Josh.
Plenty more coverage will be tomorrow, Thursday, 7:15 Eastern Time. We'll do our live podcast, the Buffalo Plus Live Show. Want to hear from you, so make sure to tune into that.
And a reminder, we have our interview with Seth Payne,
Yep.
former Texans player, Western New Yorker. Content on there. He talks a lot and gives some really good insight into the Texans. All right, that's going to do it for us here in Orchard Park. For Dan Fates, I'm Mike Catalana. Thanks for watching. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you next time on Buffalo Plus.